Well, in the wake of the Washington, D.C. shooting, late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel is once again under attack by the White House. President Trump and First Lady Melania are calling on the ABC television network and its parent company, Disney, to fire Kimmel with immediate effect. Now, the day before the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Kimmel's show featured a parody of the dinner, which included this comment. Take a look.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
An expectant widow. Well, after what then unfolded at the actual dinner, it was First Lady Melania Trump who spoke out first, posting this on social media. She wrote, "Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family is not comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. People like Kimmel should not have the opportunity to enter our homes each evening to spread hate." President Trump, he followed shortly thereafter, also posting on social media, "I appreciate that so many people are incensed by Kimmel's despicable call to violence and normally would not be responsive to anything that he said, but this is something far beyond the pale. Jimmy Kimmel should be immediately fired by Disney and ABC." All right, let's go now to entertainment journalist KJ Matthews. She is following this story for us. KJ, I'm just going to start by asking you, do you think that is Kimmel going to lose his job because of this?
You know, I don't think he's going to lose his job per se, but he might not have his contract renewed. We are living in different times. If you recall, Stephen Colbert's show was canceled. His last day on the air will be, I think, in like 30 days next month. So these are very interesting times. Remember, Jimmy Kimmel is still protected by the First Amendment, meaning that he has the right to have free speech. That does not mean he is free from private consequences, though. You know what I mean? ABC and Disney can still punish him in some way. But this is not the worst thing that he said about President Trump or Melania in the past. He's taken swipes at them over the years, many, many times. It's interesting, though, that this time, this is what got under the skin of First Lady Melania Trump, for sure.
Yeah, it is rare that the First Lady lashes out on social media like this, isn't it?
It's very rare. I can't think of any other time that a First Lady has taken to social media to attack a comedian for something he said in jest or that was supposed to be funny or criticizing them. There's so many comedians and people who have the right to criticize our current administration, prior administrations, and make jokes about them. I think it's dangerous too, because if there's any action taken to kind of quell Jimmy Kimmel or put his show off the air because he is joking or making jokes about the First Lady and President Trump or criticizing them, I think that it lays open a lot of other shows and comedians that are out there doing the same thing. This is not the first president that has been made fun of. I'm sure people remember Barack Obama. There were so many jokes made about whether or not his birth certificate was legitimate and whether or not he was actually born here. There have been comments about former President Biden about whether or not he was sleeping most of the day. You know, there were memes about that. There have been just countless jokes about every single president in the past. So I don't know why this one would change anything.
Well, you know, if there had been no incident at the dinner on Saturday, we wouldn't even be talking about this. But there was an incident. There was a shooting, and it makes the segment on Jimmy Kimmel's Friday evening show, it just makes it has a different vibe. It just feels different. How is it being discussed where you are?
It feels different, but remember, this is not something, as you just stated yourself, it's not something that Jimmy Kimmel said after the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. It was before. So unless you have a crystal ball, you'd have to have known that something like this was going to happen. So he wasn't taking a swipe at what happened over the weekend. He was just taking a swipe at the presidents. And unfortunately, this incident happened. But fortunately, no one was injured. That's the most important thing.
The question of how far satire can go, it's one that comes up everywhere all the time. Where would you say that Americans stand on that issue right now?
You may recall when Jimmy Kimmel was suspended back in September after he made comments about the fatal shooting of activist Charlie Kirk. He was taken off the air for about 6 days, I believe, by Disney, which is the parent company for ABC TV, which his show runs on. And then he was allowed to come back. And during that time that he was off the air for 6 days, there were many people, both Democrats and Republicans, that had problems with taking him off the air. They said, look, we are allowed to have free speech. We don't cancel somebody because we don't like what they're saying. So he had a lot of supporters, even people who said, look, we don't think he's funny. We don't like his show. We don't watch him. We don't think he's correct in what he says about the president. But we do believe that he has a right to say it because we are a free country. So I think if they move forward and they try to take him off the air, you'll probably get the same group of people who will criticize and be angry. So far, we have not heard an official statement from ABC or Disney, the parent company, nor have we heard anything from Jimmy Kimmel.
We know that President Trump, he has a history of being able to dish it out when it comes to insults, criticisms, you name it. Is there a sense there, particularly in LA, that we're dealing with a president that has an extremely thin skin, that he can't, take the same stuff that he dishes out?
Well, I think a lot of people are saying, that I've talked to at least, are saying it's hypocritical. We could go back even just a few months ago where they had, the untimely murders of Rob Reiner and his wife. And the president tweeted something about them being, a leftist, which a lot of people thought it was extremely inappropriate because his son is accused of killing them. And at a time where you have, a mother and a father like that being murdered, it's not the time to tweet those type of things. So that's something that people thought was inappropriate, but yet he didn't take it down. So it'll be interesting, to hear Melania say that this type of language should not be allowed. It'll be interesting if she, feels that same way about the president, because he does tend to tweet or post on his Truth Social many things that may not be deemed nice or fair or polite at all. But yet she's taking a task with with Jimmy Kimmel. So it'll be interesting to see how ABC and Disney responds. And it'll be even more interesting to see if the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, remember he was the first who wanted Jimmy Kimmel to be taken off the air back in September. It'll be interesting to see if he says something again about Jimmy Kimmel or urges ABC to again suspend him or take him off the air permanently. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see, too, if this has an effect on the ratings for Jimmy Kimmel's show. I guess we'll find out. Entertainment journalist KJ Matthews. KJ, as always, good talking with you. Thank you.
Thank you.